Hi you guys, and welcome to my channel. If you're new here, do not forget to like, subscribe, and comment. And for everybody else, welcome back. So in this video, I'm showing you how I customize my wigs, my lace frontals, everything. This is how I do every lace that I basically touch. So right here, I'm showing you how it looks straight out of the box. This is the Love Me Hair Undetectable 2.0 upgrade in the texture Water Wave, and it's 12 inches. And as you can see, the knots look great. But for me, I like to customize mine a little bit more. And basically right here, I'm just showing you all the little small details of the wig straight out of the box.
It helps the speaker lead his audience into the scene he describes by creating an imaginary picture. Usually it's something that moves.
So this is my setup to prep for my wig bleaching. I do use 30 volume developer as well as the BW2 powder. Okay, so freeze. Please do not be like me and not wear gloves. You can get something called contact dermatitis, or you can get really bad burns. In either way it goes, it's not good. So please make sure you do not do like me and you put on your gloves. Please. Okay, now let's carry on. Right here I put 2 scoops of powder. I don't really measure out how much powder versus developer I put, which is not really good, but I mean, I've been doing it for a long time, so I kind of eyeball it and fill it out. Right here I just mix a little bit of the developer inside just to see what kind of consistency I can get at first. And whether you get the right consistency or the wrong consistency, I mean, you just have to like go back and forth. If it's too much, if it's too watery, you add more powder. If it's too thick, you add more developer. But you want kind of that toothpaste consistency before you put it onto your wig. And right here for me, it is too watery. That's a no-no. So I did go in and add a little more powder. So basically what you want it to do is for it to be thick enough so that it doesn't leak through past your knots onto the actual strand of hair, but also sit onto your knots to where it bleaches the knots enough to where they aren't really seen or noticeable. You still have to really play with the consistency. Right here I think it's kind of good. It probably could use more powder, but I was satisfied with this as long as it's not like dripping off. So for all my heavy-handed chicks, this part is going to be a little bit difficult, and it would be better if you hold your wig up to put the bleach on so that you don't press too firmly, because you don't want to press too firmly with applying your bleach, because it can bleach through all the way to your strands, and then you'll have to go back in and dye your strands. It's a lot of work. So right here you just want to lightly brush it on, but firm enough to where it covers your knots and it sinks through your knots. A lot of people, after they finish this part, like to apply aluminum foil. It holds in the heat and makes the processing a little bit quicker. With this, I didn't do that. Also, make sure you're in a well-ventilated area, because this chemical gets really strong. It stinks. You can't breathe. It's basically like ammonia. But I did leave this on for about 30 minutes. You don't have to leave it on as long as I did, but I like to leave mine on because I like my knots to be a whole lot lighter. Just check it as you go to see if you have your knots bleached to the desired level that you would like it. So now that the time is up, I take lukewarm water, not really too hot, not really too cold, and I rinse off all my bleach. Just rinse it off thoroughly. Make sure you try to get as much as the bleach as you can out of the wig. Even though when water hits the bleach, it kind of like neutralizes, you still don't want to put that on your skin because it can still burn, or your hair can be stiff, or it can dry it out too much and then it start breaking off and then you have another problem. So for our last leg in the shampooing gang, we got our shimmer lights, the purple shampoo. This helps with the brassy tones of your knots after you've bleached them. This helps neutralize the brassiness or the orangey reddish looking tones in your hair. It kind of mixes and turns it to maybe a lighter brown, but not as brassy. And I like to go crazy with it. I do. But I do want to let you know that if you get it onto your lace part, the free lace, I guess you can say, make sure you rinse that part off because you don't want it to stain it. If it stains, it turns colors and then you have to go in and do a whole lot of extra work. So just make sure when you get it through your knots and everything, your free lace, your free edge on your lace, you make sure you just rinse that off. I typically like to leave mine on for like a day because it gets the best results, but 30 minutes max if you're in a rush or if you're trying to go somewhere. Some people just put it on there, leave it on 2 or 3 minutes and rinse it off. But I usually typically, if I'm not in a rush to go anywhere or I'm not going anywhere that day, I just leave it on for like a day and then come back later and rinse it all out. So here I'm checking to make sure my knots are bleached and I'm satisfied with the results. And as you can see, it really doesn't have any knots. I did kind of over bleach on one side. I probably pressed it too hard and got it too far into the knots. But I'm pretty satisfied. So now I'm placing it onto my mannequin head so I can get ready to pluck. So now that we're to our plucking part, make sure you put your T-pins in, not in the hair to where it gets in the way of the lace, but in the lace far enough to hold it to where it doesn't move around to mess you up. Make sure you don't pull it too tight because you can still rip your lace, and we don't want that at all. So for our tweezing section, you're gonna need some tweezers, a comb, and some clips. You're going to need a good tweezer like this one. You can get it from your local beauty supply store or maybe Walmart. I would prefer you not use the tweezers that come with the kit because they're flimsy and they don't really work as good. They won't help you pluck as good. Make sure you get a good tweezer. So now we're going to part it into a section. You want to pluck your hair in sections. You don't want to just go through and start plucking. You want to make sure you pluck it in sections so therefore you can get the desired look that you want. And it's easier to control the look, if that makes sense. Alright, so one more golden rule is to make sure you pluck your lace or your hair while it is still wet, because the elasticity of the hair is easier to break, so it's easier to pull the knot without ripping your lace. And like you see me doing, you want to make sure your mannequin head or wherever you have your wig sitting is in a comfortable position to where you can pluck. So I sectioned off the front of my hairline because I don't want to pluck too far in the front. The key to plucking, from what I learned from the person who taught me, is pluck the lace but not in the same space. You do it in a 1, 2, 3 pattern. That's the easiest for me, or you just go, but make sure you don't go too deep into your lace to where you're pulling it. Don't go as fast as me either. Go a little bit slower so you can make sure you get all the way down to the bottom of the knot. Well, the goal here with plucking the hairline is to make it look realistic. You don't want it too full, but as well as you don't want it too light. My typical pluck movement is 1, 2, 3, move, 1, 2, 3, move. That's what I usually do, but as you can see, I'm just plucking away. But as you come up, basically, you just keep doing that same thing. If you comb it back as you see me doing right here, and you see it's darker in one area, you just pluck lightly there, but pluck behind the line that you parted. Because if you pluck on the line, then you mess up your whole thing. So make sure you just pluck behind the line till you get to the desired look that you like. Don't pluck, don't pluck, don't pluck, don't pluck, don't pluck in the same space, because you will get bald spots. Or grab the lace too hard, because it'll pull holes into it. Because as you know, this is a thin lace, or you probably don't know, but you will see this is a very thin lace, and it's fragile. Right here is the amount of hair that came out from me plucking that section. Don't freak out. It's a lot, but it's not a lot. After all that plucking, this is my desired look. And I'm fairly happy with how it turned out. This is also the hair while it's still damp. I kept moistening the hair while I was plucking, because it does take time. Don't rush through your plucking, because plucking takes time. Customizing your whole entire wig will take time. If you rush through it, that's the biggest way to make a mistake, and we don't want mistakes. All right, and coming up next are some pictures of the after effect of after I applied my wig. I did use a lace tint from Wig Gurus on here before I applied it. And that is that, you guys. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, turn on those push notifications so you can see when the next video drops.